Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to be talking about one of the biggest expenses in your budget, which is your grocery bill. I'll walk you through some of the tips I have to cut down that grocery bill every month while still eating plenty of healthy, nutritious food. Now I have to preface this by saying that if you are indeed buying groceries at the grocery store instead of regularly going out to eat for your meals, then you're automatically going to be saving a bunch of money. And these tips are just building off of that savings. So let's start with tip number one, buying off-brand. This is probably the most obvious one, so I'll just get it out of the way early. This might be a personal opinion of mine, but I feel like buying brand name items in the grocery store is kind of just like throwing money away. Never once have I been able to tell the difference between Barilla pasta and Great Value, which is Walmart's brand of pasta. Dave Ramsey did a great breakdown of how much money you can actually save whenever you buy generic versus brand name. He looked at 3 different meals and calculated the cost of each whenever you're buying on brand and generic. And just between these 3 meals, buying off brand versus on brand, you save about $20. So even if you just swapped 3 meals each week from being on brand to a generic brand, this would save you $20 every week. And this is over $1,000 every year. Maybe some of you can tell the difference between brand name food items and generic food items, but I know I sure can't. I guess the only exception is whenever a brand name item is on sale, or if you have a coupon that will bring that price lower to the generic brand. I always tend to just look at the price per ounce of the food item, which you can usually see on the shelf price. My only exception to this rule is Heinz ketchup, because I am from Pittsburgh and I have to stay loyal to that brand. My next rule of thumb whenever it comes to cutting down grocery costs is buying in bulk. Buying in bulk is guaranteed to save you some serious cash whenever it comes to grocery shopping. This might involve having to purchase a subscription to a warehouse club like Sam's Club or Costco, but these memberships tend to pay for themselves if you're using them on the regular. Almost across the line, if you buy something in bulk, it's going to cost you less than a smaller quantity of that item. But something to keep in mind whenever you're buying in bulk, you have to actually be able to eat that item before it expires if you're buying so much of it. You need to have a place to store it, and you have to make sure you're not going to get sick of it. This can often be pretty difficult if you're buying for just yourself or one other person. It's not so much of a problem if you're buying frozen goods or pantry goods, but try and keep those refrigerated items to a minimum if you're just buying for yourself. If you're a family of 6, then I'm sure you'll have no problem going through those bulky Costco refrigerated items. The next way to save money in the grocery store is meal prep. Honestly, I don't meal prep myself, but I've heard that it's a great way to save money in the long run. With meal prepping, you can buy your main ingredients in bulk and then use them to plan out and create your meals for the week. This is great when going to the grocery store because you know exactly what meals you're going to be eating, what items you need to buy, and there aren't going to be any surprises. I tend to do the easier version of meal prepping, which is just making a whole lot of one meal and making sure I have leftovers in the fridge. For example, if I'm making tiki masala, I either triple or quadruple the recipe and keep it in the fridge for the rest of the week so that I have some easy meals I can pull, and this saves me both time and money in the long run. The next tip I have for cutting grocery store costs is going with a list. This one is pretty simple, but it's worth stating. If you go into the grocery store with a list and stick to that list, you probably won't be throwing a bunch of items in your cart that you don't need. I definitely think you should have some wiggle room whenever you walk into a store for those miscellaneous fun food items, but for the most part, if you're going in willy-nilly and you don't know what you want, that's when you tend to overspend. Or even worse, you might end up forgetting that one item that brought you to the store in the first place. My next tip is to buy less meat. When you're leaving the grocery store and you grab that receipt and scan down the long list of items to see what the most expensive item was, there's a good chance that that item was probably meat. Meat is often what people spend the most money on whenever it comes to their grocery bill. And if you're having meat for every single meal, this can really start to add up. I actually don't eat meat that often, so this one is pretty easy for me. It's just not my favorite part of any meal, and I really don't like cooking it in the first place. But I know there's some carnivores out there, so if you absolutely love meat and you're looking to save some costs on your grocery bill, maybe try cutting it out of a few meals every week and see how that goes. Just make sure that you're still adding some protein in with these meals. Nuts, legumes, beans, quinoa, and eggs are some of my favorite ways to throw a little bit of protein in whenever I'm not eating meat. I go through chickpeas and eggs like crazy. They're probably my #1 source of protein, and I tend to like the taste better than most meats anyway, and they cost way cheaper. Another big way to cut costs on your grocery bill is by not buying drinks. And I'm not just talking about alcoholic drinks here, although that is a big contributing factor. I'm talking about pretty much any sort of drinks. Sodas, Gatorades, iced teas, lemonades, and any other sort of drink that comes pre-packaged. These probably aren't adding much nutritional value to your overall diet, and these tend to cost a whole lot of money if you're regularly throwing them in your cart on your grocery trip. Plus, if you're not buying these drinks, they're not going to be in your fridge tempting you, and that's probably going to be healthier for you in the long run. The next tip I have to save money on your grocery bill is to sign up for rewards programs. This one is kind of a no-brainer, but if you're going to a specific grocery store on the regular and they have a rewards program, you should probably be taking advantage of this. This usually involves just a quick process of giving them your name, your number, your address, and they'll send you off with a card that you can use to scan on every grocery visit. We have a store called Harris Teeter down here in North Carolina, and they have some of the craziest promotional deals I've seen. They have this one deal that comes around every so often where if you buy 2 items, you get 3 items free. Buy 2, get 3 free. I'm not even kidding, it's the best thing ever. And it definitely gets me every time. The next tip I have is to shop at discount stores like Aldi and Walmart. I am a huge fan of Aldi. I've heard people say that they think Aldi is bad quality or even dirty, and I'm convinced those people have never even stepped foot into an Aldi before. If you've never heard of Aldi before, they're a German family-owned discount supermarket chain that has some of the best prices on food. And they do this on purpose. They don't have any brand name food, and if they do, it's overstock. They don't have any fancy shelving. They just basically take the shipment boxes and put them on the shelves. They don't bag your food for you. If you go there, you have to bring your own bags. They don't advertise, they don't have fancy decorations, and they don't have a cart attendant because they have a cart return program where you have to put a quarter in to get your cart, and you only get your quarter back if you return your cart. And this is all to save the consumer money, which is great because none of those things really matter, right? We just care about the cost of the food and the quality of the food, and both of those are great at Aldi. Just make sure to bring your quarter and your bags if you go. Other notable discount stores are Walmart, Costco, Sam's Club, Lidl, and Trader Joe's. Another way to potentially save costs is by doing grocery pickup. I've done some digging, and the only store that I've seen that has 100% free grocery pickup is Walmart. If you've seen others, please let me know in the comments below. I am on the hunt. So basically what you have to do with grocery pickup is just place your order online. I do it on the Walmart website, and then select a pickup time, and you can just drive to Walmart at that time and they will load it into your car for you. This saves you a lot of time, which is fantastic. But this could also save you money by removing that temptation of walking down the aisles and seeing things you don't need there. I find it's less tempting on the website whenever you're picking out your groceries versus whenever you're walking down the aisle and it's right in front of you. Just be warned that if you do use Walmart grocery pickup and you're going on a very busy day, you might have to wait a little bit. This only burned me once. I went there on Cyber Monday and I think I had to wait an hour to get my groceries, which was very frustrating, but I've only had that one bad experience with it. And I think this depends on the Walmart store too. Some are better run than other ones, so other ones I've had no problems with it. They get your groceries quick and out to you pretty fast. Another tip to save you money on your grocery list is to don't go to the store hungry. This one I'm sure you've heard 1,000 times, but I did have to include it here because it is important. It's pretty simple. Whenever we go to the store hungry, we want everything, and so we buy everything. There's also evidence to show that whenever we go to a grocery store hungry, we choose things that are higher calorie and worse for us. So this not only affects your wallet, but it also affects your health too. So pretty simple, just make sure that you're not ravenous whenever you enter a grocery store. Otherwise, you might end up with a cart full of cookies instead of kale. Next tip to save you money is to cut down on buying snack food. This is another one that can have an impact on your waist and your wallet. I tend to find that a lot of that pre-packaged snack food is a lot pricier than raw ingredients that you use to cook meals. And obviously you might need a few snacks to get you through the day, but just keep this in mind when you're shopping. Obviously this depends on the snack in question, but I tend to find chips and cookies aren't really going to fill me up during the day, so I try not to buy too much of those snack foods and instead either just try to eat my meals sooner if I'm hungry or stick to those nutritious snacks that are going to keep me full for longer. And last but not least is to buy a few pre-made meals whenever you really don't want to cook. This one isn't necessarily saving money on your grocery bill, but I do think it will save you money on your food bill in the long run. I always tend to keep some extra frozen meals in the freezer. I like to get these from Trader Joe's. They're relatively cheap. They're definitely not as cheap as they would be if you made them from scratch, but a lot of times you can just throw them in a pan or in the microwave and you'll have a full meal. The reason this will save you money in the long run is because we all have those nights whenever we don't want to cook. We either don't have enough time to cook or we just don't want to cook, and the temptation is there to go out and get fast food or get something from takeout. But by having these pre-made meals in the freezer, I feel like this eliminates that temptation because it's so easy to just whip this together and have a meal on your hands. Those are all my tips to save you money on your grocery bill. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Please let me know if you have any other tips to save you money on your grocery bill in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Until then, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and I'll see you next time. Bye.